talking to?
Kiss my ass.
Ready?
Who you talking to?
Don't get twisted right here. I ain't Brazil.
So you fucking crazy. Little bodyweight lifting bitch. You ain't no boxer. Shut the fuck up. Little bitch. Who the fuck you talking to? I don't recognize who you're talking to. Sorry about that.
You action up there?
Shut the fuck up. Hold on, Mel.
How are you?
Coming up now.
Come here running your mouth. Come here running your fucking mouth. Come here running your mouth. You're late, no respect.
Need security. Hey, boys, right?
Shut the fuck up, man.
Hey, James. Boys will be boys.
I know,
that's how it works.
Every minute. Shut the fuck up and get off the stage. Little bitch. Little bitch.
I want smoke.
All right, fine. We'll all stand around.
Still talking shit.
We get a up there.
Shut the fuck up. Shut up.
When they get up, I go on, right? That's how it works?
Yes.
Yeah.
Take instructions, shut your mouth. Take instructions, shut your mouth. Fucking weightlifting bitch. And you shut up as well. I'll slap you as well. I'll slap you as well. I'll slap you as well.
I want smoke. Let's get a photo. Let's get a photo.
This is all good, buddy. This is all good. Subscribers building up as we speak.
They're selling you all wolf tickets, people. You're eating them right up.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?
I back. Trust me, I back.
But I'm not impressed by your performance.
You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing. Shut your fucking mouth, you'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing. Not one of you'll do nothing.
I'll tell you what, bro. You know, I was out there, I was fighting all the hitters, bro. You ain't fought no hitters.
Come on, guys. It's normal.
I'm not saying I would fight you. I would kill you.
John, do you think? John, do you think I'm just gonna sit there and let you kill me, John? I mean, really?
No, don't be scared, homie.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the fuck he wants.
I am gonna beat you into the living death. I mean, maybe that's your job, but where I come from, you know, people like that get slapped.
That's fucking illegal.
Nick Diaz, you just shook up the world. How's that feel?
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Yeah, this is a simulated death match. And you haven't simulated anybody's death yet.
I said it last year. We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
What is the game plan going in against him?
The game plan is you go in there, hit him with some good shit, don't get hit, and come home with a pocket full of cash.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Everybody's on steroids. The whole UFC, everybody.
I'm gonna go home tonight. I'm gonna drink a Coors Light. That's a Coors Light because Bud Light won't pay me nothing.
Do you want to be a fighter? That is my question.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up? What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show. Obviously live on YouTube, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. Every day, even on Sunday, though that is Patreon only. Go to patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. And obviously Saturdays are for live fight chats, media reactions, etc. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, share the show. Trying to reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube before the end of the month. And what else? Other sort of goals we have. Everything else we're sort of on set. We're on pace to do a lot of things in the next month or two. Complete studio revamping in the next 2 months or so, I would say. Probably by the end of summer for sure. A lot of things to come. Clothing line coming out next month. A lot of things down the pipeline, so just stay tuned for that. Quickly shout out to everyone in the chat. El Chapo, Nija, always shout out to Nija. Pound for pound supporter. Pound for pound supporter right there. MB, Travis Fearson, Lieben, did I say MB already? Yeah. Eric Cruz, Potential Lunatic, Wayne, and Georgie Porgy, of course, the OG. But yes, let's get into it, obviously. But before I do, I want to make a quick sort of housekeeping note, because I did get something wrong in the last show. Obviously, I reported that there was no drug testing done for the Manny Pacquiao-Lucas Matisse fight. I was wrong about that. I know gunshots for me, because I came at I came at all you Pac-Tards, man. It was rough. Johnny, what's up, man? There was drug testing, though there was no commission there to test, and VADA was not involved. Margaret Goodman did confirm that with me. WADA was used. WADA, obviously, the granddaddy of them all, in a sense, the overarching regulatory body, I should say, of anti-doping, and VADA and USADA come under them, being licensed out by the WBA, per Robert Morales of the Press Telegram in Long Beach. Shout out to my hometown. And also just a good reporter right there. He was told this by Golden Boy. Just wanted to make sure this was known, this, for all my listeners, that I went on this rant yesterday, even though I think obviously parts of it are still extremely valid, making the more, grand general points and just boxing overall in terms of PD regulation and the expectation we have of it. But Manny Pacquiao and Lucas Matisse did have third-party anti-doping testing by WADA. So just wanted to let you guys know that before we get into all of the news and all of the drama. Obviously, you heard some of it in the opening of the show, especially with AJ Miller. We're probably going to jump into that and then get into the minutia of DAZN and their announcement, their grand press conference that they've been hyping up for a while. But I mean, obviously, what you heard in the beginning of the show, the Anthony Joshua, Jarrell Miller, altercation. I don't know what to make of it, really. Like, obviously, it was entertaining. Like, whenever AJ does flip that switch, like, that's when you really see that star power come out, I feel like. Because when he's reserved, like, upper in juxtaposition, his sort of, like, introduction to the press conference, he was like, oh, thank you for having me, enjoy the time, and then basically just walked off. It was very basic and minimal, lacking sort of any charisma, but obviously it's AJ, so he pulls it off in some capacity. But then, 5-10 minutes later, camera's off, mic is still hot, and all of this is picked up for everyone to hear on the live stream. Basically, Jarrell Miller coming in late, starting some shit as always, and then them two getting at it. Obviously, you're going to have the narrative of people saying that, oh, this is Eddie, this is the grand plan to not have Wilder fight in April, and you can obviously think that. You can discuss that in the comment section below. I really don't care for that narrative, so I'm just going to table that, to be honest, move it to the side. I think Jarrell Miller is one of the best self-promoters in the game because there was no way AJ, I think, would have started this. Like, we would not have this moment if it was not for Big Baby pulling a Shannon Briggs, pulling a Mr. T, in a sense, Clubber Lang, and getting in his face. We would not have seen this AJ come out, this star come out, and we've seen it in spots. So I thought it was just an entertaining moment. I think whether or not this fight actually happened in April, I don't know. Obviously, it's available. Obviously, this is a groundwork moment to promote the eventual fight that will happen, whether it's in April or later down the line. These two guys will fight each other at some point in their careers. That's a guarantee. I thought it was just fun. And shout out to AJ for pulling out the old school street in him. I like that. That was I
want smoke.
Yeah, we know you did. We know you did, AJ. You definitely talked that shit. But let's move on to obviously the minutia of the announcement. Let's break it down. A little more hardcore status, because obviously everything that's either been rumored or semi-announced was announced. So there wasn't a big surprise, I would say, in any of this that we've heard. All of this has been talked about either on my show or the past show I was on, about all these rumors, whether it be the pricing, $9.99, that was known. The first event, even though I think Amir Khan and Samuel Vargas was first linked to be the opening event technically, it has been said that it is going to be AJ Povetkin as the sort of grand opening event of DAZN in the U.S. That's interesting. It's that late in the month. It's like the 22nd. If that really is the first one. Curious about that. All the sort of announcements in terms of fighter announcements was all either announced or rumored beforehand. And let me get to, just so I have them in front of me, Jesse Vargas, Demetrius Andrade, Daniel Roman, Maurice Hooker, Artur Beterbiev, and Jarrell Miller. All the names and fighters that were picked up by DAZN, or Matchroom USA, I should say, in some capacity. Hooker, Beterbiev, and Miller all co-promoted Hooker obviously with Rock Nation, Artur Beterbiev with Yvonne Mitchell, and Joe Miller obviously with Salida Promotions. Also interesting to say that the first event, the U.S. DAZN, the Matchroom U.S. DAZN card, is kind of stacked. I'll be honest. It is a good card. Jesse Vargas can be the headliner. We're going to get to that in a second. Demetrius Andrade, Artur Beterbiev versus Callum Johnson. Jarrell Miller is going to be on the card. And Katie Taylor versus Cindy Serrano. God. That is probably low-key one of the best fights that will be made on that card. It's already the best fight that has been announced. It's better than Beterbiev versus Callum Johnson. Let's be completely honest about that. I'm very curious about everyone in this chat, everyone in the comment section, everyone that listens to the show. What do you think about Jesse Vargas being a headliner for Matchroom USA's first event? Not really first event because they've had like Daniel Jacobs, but the first like DAZN event, right? I don't know what I think about it. I think Jesse Vargas is one of those guys where, yeah, he probably has a lot of metrics on his side because he's been matched with some really good names, Broner, Pacquiao, etc. You know, he's definitely been there. But I don't feel like that's the guy you push behind. Maybe it's just because he is a known commodity in some sense to possibly a larger boxing audience than Andrade, Joe Miller, Beterbiev, even Katie Taylor in the U.S., let's be honest. But going forward, he definitely is not the centerpiece of, Matchroom USA, or at least he shouldn't be. He has a very low ceiling in what he can do for that division. I think a guy like Demetrius Andrade is somebody that you sort of get behind. But even then, you have Daniel Jacobs also in that same division under the same promotional banner. Obviously, now they are networks apart, even though they're under the same promoter, which makes little to no sense. I felt like that was a missed opportunity to really push Andrade, to make him the centerpiece. He was the last fighter to be announced at the press conference. Even though he stumbled a little bit in his outro, he definitely had the most charisma out of all the guys that were brought up. Why not make him that centerpiece? Why not really push him? And if he sinks or swims, he sinks or swims. I think that's what you sort of do. Jarrell Miller is a guy that you picked up because obviously you're trying to set up a fight with AJ. If you're Eddie Hearn, if you're Matchroom, if you're DAZN, makes complete sense. I think Katie Taylor's phenomenally matched up in this event against Cindy Serrano, a true step-up fight for her. Cindy Serrano, one of the best female fighters on the planet, probably top 20 in the world, I would say. And Katie Taylor now in her 10th fight fighting Cindy Serrano. I love that. I think it would be interesting to see, where Katie Taylor goes from here after the Serrano win, because this would be big for her. Curtis trolling like a motherfucker. I love it. The news of DAZN sent shockwaves across America. Oh, that's good. It is one of those where there's no Charlo. There's no Mikey. There's not even a Jarrett Hurd. Like, there's some names that were floated out there that was a little bit sexier in terms of like an announcement, in terms of news. Andrade was really the biggest one. And Andrade's always been a hardcore darling. It's one of those cases where all these signees are good fighters. Like Daniel Roman is a fantastic super bantamweight. He may not beat Isaac Dogbe or Ray Vargas, but he is a fantastic pickup, absolutely. He's been undefeated now going on, 6 years? Since he had a couple losses early in his career. He's gone on a huge run. That's a great pickup. Beterbiev, a fantastic pickup in the light heavyweight division. Who knows if it's going to be him and Bivol being the lead in that division going forward, but he may be that guy. Joe Miller, even though I think most people consider him not better than AJ or Wilder, on any given night he may beat those guys just because of style-wise. I think these are all good names. There was nothing that was absolutely fantastic. But again, I think part of that is that all of this was sort of put out there. Like, none of this was new to us. There was no big unveiling. The big centerpieces to this event was Demetrius Andrade, who was not main eventing, and AJ, who I don't know if that's really the centerpiece you want to do if you are Matchroom USA. Maybe if you're DAZN, because again, this is more of a DAZN announcement, it works. You have AJ. You have the second biggest star in boxing that's active right now. Of course you're going to make him a centerpiece. But if you're Matchroom USA, it didn't feel like it was fireworks out of the park sort of performance or sort of announcement, I would say. Good to, really good, but nothing that was amazing. MB saying, Matt, what do you know about these amateurs? I don't know that much. I'll be completely honest. The first guy, I forget his name. I've seen him before. I've seen him on some YouTube clips and stuff like that. He's really good. He has some talent. But a lot of those guys are very young. I think the second guy I've seen in like an Olympic trials, I want to say. I could be wrong. I'll do more research on those amateurs that are now turning pros for UMB. I'm interested to see where those guys can go going forward, obviously. Just quickly reading some of these comments in the live chat. You guys are always awesome. Lieben saying they needed a U.S. star, really. And the problem is that there's not really a U.S. star out there that makes perfect sense. There are names that would have done something, obviously, but there's no U.S. star, really. Think about it. The two biggest stars in the sport, one's Mexican, one's from England. There's no one in the U.S. that is truly a star. They would have needed to pick up a Broner, a Wilder, a Keith or Danny, maybe, and that would have been star level, close to it, at least. But, it's a hard market right now because no one is that top guy right now. Potential Lunatic making a good point, saying signing 3 Brooklyn-based amateurs is smart. Should sell tickets to the Barclays eventually if built well. Absolutely agree. A Johnny saying Wilder's a star. I don't need to debate that point. I just that was never going to happen. Come on, Johnny. Even if I'll give you that Wilder's a star, sure, just for argument's sake. He's not the star level of Joshua and Canelo. Let's get that absolutely straight. He's not realistic to sign, And even then, I don't know if it's an earth-shattering movement. I don't. I think Showtime's worried. Let's be honest. They just lost AJ. George is saying AB, Jesus Christ, man. AB pulls views, man. I'm purely talking about numbers here. Not talking about skill. Not talking about rankings, etc. Rubisky saying, Matt, the DAZN press conference, I think he's meant, saying, hit it out of the park for me. I'm sold. Well, obviously, I'm paying for it. But I'm thinking more long term. I'm thinking more, is this the stable yet to support boxing on DAZN for the next 3 years, 5 years? I don't know. James Lopez saying, will AJ versus Wilder be on DAZN? Purely depends what they do. Neither of those guys, I want to say, has a U.S. exclusive deal. AJ obviously is a free agent, network-wise. I don't think he's going to sign up to DAZN, potentially, but he could. I don't know. There's not been stated that he signed a DAZN deal. He has a Sky Sports deal and a Matchroom deal. But yeah, that's one of those that could get shopped around. That fight could definitely get shopped around. Eddie would probably want it to be on DAZN, obviously, but theoretically, depending where it is, they could throw it on a lot of different networks. But digressing very quickly, I've said this a few times about this paradigm shift. Georgie's saying, Matt, give us your DAZN password. Well, did you hear that you're only allowed to stream 3 devices at a single time? So, no, I'm not giving any of you guys my password. Sorry. It is definitely, I want to say, a year or two away from being ESPN/ESPN Plus and DAZN being the two top dogs in boxing. I still think we're going to see a large exodus of Showtime fighters and just premium network fighters to these streaming apps. I think there's a lot of money in it. I think a lot of these parent companies of a DAZN, of ESPN, are looking at streaming, looking at what companies like Netflix are pulling in monthly. They see dollar signs in it now. Maybe it was a decade ago, streaming obviously could not support the monetization that these big companies wanted. But now you have a Netflix that's making over $1 billion a month in pure profit. So I definitely think you're going to see a ABC/Disney-owned ESPN pushing that, putting a ton of money into sports streaming broadcasting. Terrestrial TV is dying. It definitely is. Let's look at the promo DAZN put out for this announcement. They put out a fantastic promo. That was one of the better ones I've seen of the year. I'll be completely honest. It was awesome. I'll give them that. The CEO and whatever sort of execs came out and sort of talked about it. They definitely seemed like they were fans of the sport. They definitely seemed like they were clued in on this paradigm shift. So it'd be interesting to see again in 2-3 years all the changes we're going to see. And again, I'm predicting we're going to see DAZN versus ESPN going on in the next era of boxing. That would be the next sort of network rivals that we see. But speaking of DAZN properties, shout out to George Groves, man. Definitely is a very open fella. Saying, I wonder if the World Boxing Super Series will ever set a fight date for the super middleweight final, with the little shrug emoji.
I want smoke.
Probably not. Oh well, might as well go running just in case there's a sniff of a chance something they haven't told us all yet. Again, probably not. It's odd. I don't know why this fight has not been made yet. It makes little to no sense. Fat Apple saying we'll be doing a Usyk Gassiev breakdown tonight. No, that is tomorrow, Wednesday. Wednesday will be all previews for the weekend's action, whether it be UFC, boxing, whatever it is. That's Wednesday. So tomorrow, same time as always, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, and 10 p.m. in the UK. And obviously podcast form on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, etc. But digressing, George Groves sending some shots over to the WBSS, man. I love it. I really do. Because they have continually dropped the ball in this first season, because they're calling it seasons, right? You know, the fact that it took so long for Usyk Gassiev to be made official, the fact that it's taken so long for this fight to be made official, it's just upsetting. It is truly upsetting that they have the quality of fighters they do, but stumbling in the process. And then plus, the Usyk Gassiev fight will not be streamed on YouTube free for U.S. fans, like it has been in the past few events for the World Boxing Super Series. No, it would be pay-per-view on Cloud TV app, KLOWD. Yes. So that's awesome. Bamani, what's up? I see you, Bamani. James Lopez and Curtis Cooper. What's up, guys? I don't think I actually saluted you guys coming into the chat. Salute. Larry Merchant, see you, man. What's up? But yeah, I'm upset at the World Boxing Series. It's insane that they have fumbled these type of fighters and these type of fights in this process. I don't know what's up with them. There's a reason that in conjunction with this, the Anthony Joshua Povetkin card lost the Kilbrook fight because his opponent got hurt. And then within a single day, they threw a Chris Eubank Jr. promo for the card. And then within another day, they took that off because he's saying, no, I'm going to wait to see what happens with this main event. It's just an entire clusterfuck that is now messing with multiple events in boxing in the next few months, upsetting World Boxing Super Series. You guys are ridiculous at this point. But speaking of the WBSS, their sort of final lineup for their Bantamweight Season 2 is official. Ryan Burnett, Emmanuel Rodriguez. Again, most of these names were announced. Solon Tete, Inoue, Nonito Donaire, Juan Carlos Payano, Jason Maloney, and Mikhail Alayan. And Mikhail Alayan and Ryan Burnett were officially announced today. For those that do not know, Mikhail is a 2-time medalist in the Olympics, bronze and silver. Lost to King Tug. I'm not going to try to pronounce his actual name. but that's a phenomenal, undefeated fighter that under PBC stable. I like that they're throwing this guy in here, that they think he is that good. Plus, we have seen that there's an obvious Russian connection with the World Boxing Super Series. Like, I don't want to get too conspiratorial with it, but definitely some Russian money in that shit. Just saying, it just seems like it makes sense because of the way they've been aligning. Both this draft gala is in Moscow. The finale of Usyk was debated for literally months till it was put in Moscow for Russia. I wonder why. They've now thrown in a undefeated 4-0 bantamweight that his last 2 fights were split decisions. And to be fair, Mikhail's 4 fights are against not quality opponents, but like there's no bum in there. Like they're all, 20-10, 15-5. They're going, his last 2 opponents were undefeated. I'll give him that. But he hasn't looked like the world beater from what I've seen. It's weird that they put him in there. Same with the matchups for the World Boxing Super Series finale for Usyk. You have a ton of Russian undefeated names in there. Just saying, that Russian oligarch money is amazing. Send me the bag, Russia. Just saying, I'll shell out for you guys. Let's be honest. But moving on, that's pretty much it for boxing. There wasn't that much in here, to be quite honest. Though I will stitch back to the DAZN announcement and Matchroom USA. Daniel Roman, the only fighter that was announced that's not on, other than the 3 prospects that are now turning pro, they have not been officially assigned fight cards. But Daniel Roman's not on that first Matchroom USA card in October 6th, I believe. He's on October 20th in Staples Center, fighting Gavin McDonnell. I really like that fight, to be honest. Gavin McDonnell has been up and down throughout his career, but it's always a tough guy, always a fun fight. And Daniel Roman is probably going to bring it to him and finish him within 7-8 rounds in an entertaining fight. But it is at Staples Center. And conspiracy theorists, I'm just saying, Mikey Garcia, if he goes out here and beats Robert Whittaker Jr. in the next 2 weeks, it's possible he picks him up. Because I don't think this is obviously the final wave of announcements we're going to receive. I think in the next quarter, maybe first quarter of next year, there should be another announcement. There should be another wave of signees if they're doing it right. Now I'm just saying it's a shame DAZN hasn't signed any female boxers. But you have to admit, Niger, that Matchroom USA does not have a real, they don't have a market to go to and say, oh, look at all these female fighters. They don't. The U.S. market for female boxing is extremely small, and the women at the very top are all signed up. They're all networked up, pretty much. Though, let's be honest, DAZN is piggybacking off of Matchroom UK as well. Niger, you're forgetting that. So all the female boxers that the UK has, from Chantel Cameron to Natasha Jonas to, Katie Taylor. Oh, my God. That's what I want to talk about mainly. All those female fighters can be featured on DAZN still. Like all those names from the UK amateur system that are now sort of known through Sky Sports and Eddie and their promotion, they can still be featured on DAZN, absolutely. And DAZN is featuring Katie Taylor versus Cindy Serrano. You have to admit, Nyjah, that is a fantastic matchup for the female boxing industry, world. I don't know what I'm going to say. Because if Katie Taylor comes out and puts on a great performance against a Serrano sister, the sky is the limit for her. They start throwing all the money in that direction to promote her. James Lopez saying, later, Matt. Great stream. Oh, see you later, man. Hope you have a good day. Catch the rest of the show on playback. Matt, what will happen with boxing on Sky Sports? So this was announced when it was, all this was confirmed with Eddie going to DAZN in some capacity. They're simulcasting the stream. So think about this. In theory, if you could have a Sky Sports subscription and a DAZN subscription, you could watch both events on those streams, in a sense, for the UK cards. For the US cards, let's say Matchroom US, I believe it's the same, but in reverse. Could be wrong. I highly doubt it, though, even though that was not explicitly said. It was said the other way around explicitly, that 16 Matchroom UK cards will be simulcast streamed on DAZN for the U.S. audience. Potential into making it much more simpler. Sky get all DAZN shows, and DAZN get all Sky Short shows. Basically that. I don't think it's all, to be fair. I think it was 16 and 16. That could be all. It could not be. But that is definitely, in theory, what is happening, yes. Similar to what Bellator is doing. Bellator is signed to a terrestrial, cable provider, like, not cable provider, cable network, I should say. Paramount Network, which was Spike TV at one point. So that is getting simul-streamed on DAZN and Paramount in the same market, which is weird. I don't know how that's going to go over in the long term. I definitely think that's going to be just a way of the future, that these, TV networks are, eventually going to die out, but there's a huge audience, the 40 and up crowd, so to speak, 45 and up crowd. They're not going to be, hipped on all these streaming apps. They're just not. Hell, I know plenty of my friends that are, in their 20s that, when I told them about ESPN Plus, they're like, I'm good. Like, I don't want it. I don't want that. It seems complicated. I'm good. But I think, again, this is just the way of the future. It is. It's going to be a thing that's going to happen. Curtis Cooper saying streaming Sky Sports is very easy in North America. That is absolutely true. Let's be honest. Kyle in the chat. What's up, Kyle? What's up? Soon to be co-host of MCR. Saying, for anyone that cares, just read that the UFC vets Chris Levy and Phil Baroni disagreed to fight in a bare-knuckle boxing match in October. Is it that same sort of entity that did the one with Beck Rawlings out like in Idaho, Montana? I'm curious about that, Kyle. Let me know. Digressing very quickly before we go to MMA, though, I want to play one more clip. It is AJ Wilder information. Yes, I know. Stop. I apologize. Sorry. But I think it's interesting to at least put out there, especially in conjunction and juxtaposition with the whole AJ and Jarrell Miller scuffle, that this was also told to us on the same day. Fat Apple saying MTR. No, I said MCR. Maybe misheard me. I could have misspoke. It happens. Anyways, digressing. Play this clip.
That's why I've gone around this way. And you know what? It's one thing me saying it, and it's another thing me doing it. And that's why I've made sure, between me and you and everyone else watching, I've secured the date, the location. I've listened to all the issues that they found within the contract, and I've got rid of them, and I've added all the good points. And my side has been signed. So all we need to do is wait for Wilder's ink to dry, and then the fight is locked in. I don't need to wait another 2-3 months to hear any more issues. I've done that. I've been dealing with that for the last few months. We're here now. I've signed my side. All I need to do now is get Wilder to sign his side, and the fight is locked in and it's official.
Now, obviously, we don't know the exact details that he, quote unquote, like fixed and appeased the Wilder camp. Curious as to what that is. Let me know in the chat, in the comment section. Like, are we really? Like, how high? Like, are we still buying into this? Not necessarily buying into it. That's probably a bad way to phrase it. But, like, do we care about this promotion at this point? Do we care about this build-up right now? I'm personally, like, I don't care about it till AJ fights Povetkin and Wilder fights his next opponent. Me personally. I don't know if that is what other people are thinking. Probably not. Definitely tell me if I'm crazy, if I'm bullshitting. Let me know. I don't know really what to, like, how to care about this. Like, it's not happening next. Like, you tell me that a contract is signed, allegedly, and you fix all the issues that Wilder had with the contract. Like, really? Like, you guys could not have waited on this? And we could have avoided Povetkin? Really? No, you're just saying, no, we don't care about AJ Wilder anymore. Damn, that's great. Gus saying no. And shout out to Gus. I just want to say quickly to Gus. Great. You sent me a great email, Gus. That meant a lot to me, Gus, just saying that. Okay, Fat Apple saying, right, Cal, to be on Matt Stats level, how many fights has Miller had? You got to use the word I believe and about in the sentence, and you definitely have Matt Stats down to a T, let's be honest. Gus saying, let shit happen, then we'll build naturally. I agree. I think it was a natural build-up, let's say, in the first 2 or 3 months of this whole process after AJ Parker, and then it got a little bit forced, I would say. I agree. Bomani, I didn't know, Bomani, you were from Canada. Interesting to know. Making a great point, saying the price better drop to that $9.99 for me. I'm worried. When I saw they dropped the price for the U.S. market, I'm like, oh, those Canadians are going to be pissed off, but yet so cordial about it. Yeah, they better drop the price for you guys. That's ridiculous if it's double the market price for Canada. That makes zero sense to me, but digressing. But when I'm making a point about the AJ Wilder build-up, saying, no, I like the build-up, but I hate the line coming from Team AJ. I understand. I'm not going to stand here on a soapbox for either guy. I'll be completely honest at this point. I think Wilder has missed opportunities to get this fight made, to make this whole entire process easier. I think AJ could have done the same. I think AJ could have at any point made this a lot easier for everyone. He could have given Wilder that 40%. He could have took the $50 million. There's a lot of things here, that could have been done from either party to make this fight happen, and just didn't. I think egos got in the way, and I hate that shit. I hate when we have a Miguel Cotto factor here. It is what it is. Eric Rose is saying, honestly, $9.99 is half of what everyone said it would be in the U.S. Well, we just said that number based off of what DAZN is in other countries. Like, the transfer rate, it's $20 in the U.S. We thought it would be $20 here if it's $20 in Canada. That would make sense, but it wasn't. Because they definitely heard all the criticism about it, that's for sure. Fat Apple saying, missed opportunities, LOL. He has a contract right there. Yeah, but let's be honest. If Team AJ made the same point about the $50 million offer, we're not going to say yes or no until we see all the details. Why would Wilder sign a deal without all the details in play? That was a mistake from Eddie Hearn. That was a miscalculation of the negotiation process. Absolutely. And it makes him look hypocritical. It does. Now you can say, Wilder, you've already agreed to the money. Why not just wait a couple days or whatever it may be, try to figure it out, and get that date and venue attached to it. It is what it is. They are the two best middleweights on the planet. Not middleweights, heavyweights on the planet. They're going to hold out for the most money they can make because they know how big the fight is. Let's be honest. But moving on, that is the end of the boxing portion of the show. I know I apologize to all of you boxing aficionados that only listen to the show for boxing. But don't worry, I made all this in the front half of the show for you guys, so don't worry. Moving over to MMA, and very briefly, not a ton of topics to get to because it has been sort of a slow news cycle for the day. Obviously, DAZN has really, been the bulk of all of the media content of the day, let's be honest. But shout out to MMA Junkie, saying UFC champ Robert Whittaker says, realistically, he can't defend title until early 2019. Oh, man. That's really upsetting. But though him and Kelvin Gastelum are coaching tough, I think it gives him plenty of time. And, he's a guy that's been injured quite a bit recently, so I'm okay with them not, pushing this fight sooner, so to speak. Can you guys hear my dogs? I'm about to go yell at my dogs. Please let me know. Please. Fat Apples. But Matt, you're saying about date and venue. Did a Lou DiBella fighter and Derevchenko accept her contract with no date or venue for Jacobs? Yes, he did. Yes. Did he sign the contract with no date or venue? No. Is this fight worth tens and tens of millions of dollars? No. You know, and again, you're using a different matchup that has different economic situation to it, different financials. I'm talking about the same matchup when I bring up the $50 million offer and how they didn't want to say yes to the offer without all the stipulations, without the contract in place. Rose is saying I can't hear them. Thank you. Shout out to this great mic. And then you go. So if you're Eddie, if your entire point in that $50 million offer was, we don't know the details. You could make him wear a pink glove or a pink robe. And then you come back with your contract, with your offer, without those details that you wanted. Do you not see the hypocrisy there? If you don't, you're being a little bit of a fanboy, you know. And sorry if you feel offended by that, but you are. You're not thinking logically. You're not thinking objectively. Okay? Let's be honest. That is a hypocrisy. That is a inconsistency in what Eddie Hearn is talking about, what his talking points is, what his narrative is. It is a complete 180. Fat Apple saying, yes, Derevchenko signed the fight and the contract. No, it said the fight was confirmed. You have to remember that, Fat Apples. Did it ever say in those breaking news articles that the fight was signed? The contracts were signed. No, it didn't. It said the fight was confirmed. Parties can agree to a fight and then get a contract signed. That happens all the time. Look at Danny Garcia, Sean Porter. They agreed to a fight a while ago. That's why there wasn't a purse bid. You know, come on. You aren't thinking objectively about that. You just aren't. Fat Apples, I severely don't understand your point here when you say I am thinking objectively, as I wouldn't mention the rematch clause. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Like, it has absolutely zero to what we are talking about here. Eddie said, I cannot accept your offer, Wilder, because it does not have a date. It does not have certain things we need. Right? Can we agree on that? And then he sent a contract to Wilder without the things that he asked for in the beginning from Wilder. Do not see the disconnect there. You don't? Then you are disconnected, Fat Apples. You are. Again, you're not thinking objectively. You're not using logic in that instance. You're thinking anti-Wilder. You're thinking pro-Eddie, pro-AJ. You are. Because there is a clear inconsistency there from Eddie Hearn. Let's be honest. Curtis saying, I hope Apples is getting a check from Hearns. Hey, man, people ride with theirs. I don't like Fat Apples. If you want to ride with AJ, ride with him, man. I don't blame you. This is a mega fight. This is UK versus US in every sort of way. But you can't sit here and say, I am thinking objectively when you are clearly not. Sorry. But moving on. Oh, my God. I have had this up for like ever and not my face. I felt so bad about that. Shout out to me as a producer and a host at the same time. Goddamn. Shout out for myself. Fat Apples saying, again, making points that do not matter to the discussion that we are having. Saying which it took 12 days for Finkel to respond to when he knew Hearn had a deadline. That's beside the point. It is beside the point. That contract, when it was sent out, should have had all of the stipulations, all of the requirements in it that he requested from Deontay Wilder for the $50 million offer. That is good business. It is bad business to say, oh, we can't accept that deal, we can't accept that offer that doesn't have X, Y, and Z. And then on the counter to send a contract that doesn't have X, Y, and Z. That is purely what we're talking about here. If you cannot agree that that is a inconsistency at the least, if not a hypocrisy, then you are not being objective. You are being a fanboy. Point blank. You know? I can sit here and say, well, Wilder, you agree to the $15 million. Like, why can we not get past that? But let's be honest. Why would you accept a contract that doesn't have a date or a venue attached to it? You're not going to put your name and sign something that doesn't have a date or a venue on it. Especially when the other team refused to do the same exact thing for the same exact reason. Again, Fat Apple, you're talking about the 12-day deadline. This has nothing to do with that. Why do we need those 12 days of Finkel having the contract with no date and venue? Why wasn't the contract sent originally with the date and venue? Can you answer that, Fat Apples in the chat? I am waiting. Because you, again, are talking about things that are not relevant to our discussion. Fat Apple saying, I could say you're being a fanboy. How? What do you mean there's no objectivity here? Are you seriously saying that? Like, is that your comeback and your defense is, well, no, I'm not, you are. That is your defense. That is your logical argument against me, Fat Apples, is to say, well, I know you said that against me. I'm going to say that back at you. Like, that is such a lazy argument and defense of what you're debating. It's just sad. It really is. But anyways, digressing, Fat Apples. You know, come back when you have an actual argument to counter with what I'm saying instead of saying, well, you're being a fanboy. Oh, you offended me. There is no objectivity. That has nothing to do with what I've said. You're not countering my point at all with any sort of relevant details or logic. And Bomani, again, that's not relevant either, saying, why did he not accept the $50 million? That's not relevant in this discussion. We are purely talking about the hypocrisy of camps. Let's be honest. But again, digressing. Sorry, Fat Apples. You know, I know I just ethered you. It's okay. I still love you dearly because you're listening to this show. Potential lunatic saying it was all PR posturing, trying to make the other side to appear to be ducking. Well, I think obviously both sides are trying to make the other one look like the quote-unquote ducker, right? They're trying to put the public bad will on the other fighter. That's just natural, right? Is that the main goal of either camp? I don't think so. I really don't. I think it's just a natural occurrence of these mega fights. You do this. You try to have sort of you want to be in the driver's seat of the negotiation. How do you do that? You want the public on your side. How do you do that? You make the other side seem like they don't want the fight. That is the simplest way to turn the boxing fans on your side and against your opponent. I think both sides are doing that naturally just because that's what happens with these big fights. But I don't think it's their main operative. I really don't. Or their main goal. I really think that both sides wanted to make this fight and then egos came into it. I think Eddie Hearn purposely did not put a date and venue on that contract. I think he purposely did that. Not because he didn't want the fight, because he wanted to dick measure. Because it was ego. The same reason why fucking Wilder did not want to, and Shelly Finkel did not want to meet with Eddie Hearn in New York. Because that was fucking ego. You know, it's not because they didn't really want to make the fight. It's because they thought that was the right move to make. You know, politically, so to speak. That was the right move to make. And it wasn't. They were both awful moves. Clearly. But it's all right. Digressing, of course, to some more MMA, because I did mention some MMA news and then went back to boxing. Apologize. Bellator announcing their 10-man welterweight tournament field, including Rory McDonald, MVP, and Douglas Lima. The full lineup for this, and it is said that Paul Daly could still somehow be in it because he is dealing with his contract negotiations. But the full list is Yaroslav Yamasov, John Fitch, obviously John Fitch, Neiman Gracie, Andre Korshkev, Lorenz Larkin, Douglas Lima, Rory McDonald, Michael Page, and Ed Ruth. Phenomenal tournament. I cannot wait to see that. especially if Paul Daly can somehow jump in there too. Larkin, Koroshkev, Gracie, John Fitch, Douglas Lehman, Roy McDonald, Michael Page, Ed Ruth. I love all those guys. Amosov, I'll be honest. Fat Apple saying, sorry, Matt, didn't mean to ruin the MMA. No, it's okay, man. Hey, it's debate. It's okay to have this debate. I think, I know Nigel's saying, can we please move on already? Like, no one cares about this. I understand. But I hope this is a platform that we can have this debate in maybe a different tone than maybe some other platforms. But definitely, I think, digressing a little bit to what I was talking about at the Bellator tournament, which is also going to be on DAZN, sort of stitching back to, what we've been talking about with this whole DAZN announcement. September 29th, I believe, is when this card is. It's a weird sort of setup because from what I have picked up, obviously Roy McDonald's fighting Gegard Mousasi on that card for the middleweight championship, not in the welterweight tournament. So he's not going to be in the tournament until 2019. Allegedly, there are 2 matchups here between 4 of these guys that are sort of entrances into it. So whoever wins those will then be in the tournament. Sort of like a precursor tournament to get in the tournament. And then we have Paul Daly that somehow could slip in here somehow. I don't know how they're organizing it. It makes zero sense to me. I just hope it is organized. And plus, as a going to be DAZN subscriber, I get AJ Povetkin and this entire supercard all in the same month. Take my money, please. Please, take my money. I don't need it. You guys need it, please. But I definitely love that announcement in terms of just the overall depth of it. I think Ed Ruth is a fantastic person to put in there. Same with Neiman Gracie. 2 undefeated grapplers. Obviously, one a decorated wrestler collegiately and Olympic-wise. And then Neiman Gracie being obviously of the Gracie family lineage, being a phenomenal grappler in and of himself. I think guys like Lorenz Larkin, John Fitch, more of veterans in the game. So definitely am excited to see that and to see where it can go. But ladies and gentlemen, that's been it. Another daily edition of the show. Hashtag Mixed Combat Radio, hashtag MCR Podcast. Find where all podcasts are found. iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, SoundCloud, everything. Don't worry. It's out there. You can find it. Obviously live on YouTube. Same time as always tomorrow. But Monty's saying, now I'm more excited for the MMA on DAZN than the boxing. Bellator is a well-established machine. Matchroom still got to gain traction in the U.S. I think that's a good point. Like, Matchroom still has a lot of room to grow, a lot of things to do, a lot of structure to sort of form in the U.S. Obviously, they are a powerhouse in the U.K. This is a different market. I think they made a good step in the right direction with this announcement, with their whole lineup. It's not a giant leap in that direction, but it is a step in that direction. Definitely agree with that. Can't wait to see what they do moving forward. Shout out to everyone in the chat again. Nija, Fat Apples, Bamani, Potential Lunatic, Callum. Who else? I always say Potential Lunatic. Get out of here. There was a bunch of Curtis, PSK, Georgie Porgy was in there, Eric Rosas, Lebin, not Lemon, Lebin. I know some people were asking about is Alex Lemon in the chat. No, he's not. Gus Sandoval, Eric Cruz, Paul Veerman, Kyle. What's up, Kyle? Soon to be co-host of the show. Can't to have him on here. But yeah, I'll be back obviously tomorrow. Find us on all platforms. Mixed Combat Radio. Find me at Matt Hunter, MCR on all platforms as well. Be back tomorrow. Have a great day. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Deuces.